We are now on patch 14.16b, and here is the best comps in the B patch that you want to play if you want to climb the ladder. And we're gonna start out by the new most played comp in Master Plus, Portal Rise. And what we're looking for here is basically 8 portals at level 8, and that means all of the portal units. What we mainly are looking for is itemizing Rise with mana, AP, and attack speed items. We also put tank items on Galio and Taric, and the leftover items could be attack speed or AP items on Nora. We could also have AD items on Israel, and we could also have tank or bruiser items on Diana in the late game. So it is a fast 8 comp where we are looking for these 8 portals. And 8 portals is quite important, and that is also why the augments that we're looking for is something that gives us this emblem. That basically just means that we can get to level 8 without hitting Nora, and that means we can just play another unit. It could be Nami that we are putting the emblem on, and we can have 8 in portals without hitting the 5-cost unit. The build-up is more or less just playing the cheap portal units where we will have items on Zoe before we finding Rise, and we can just build tank items straight away on Galio. When we get to stage 4-1 or 4-2, we go to level 8 and do a roll down and trying to hit most of these units. One other option could be playing 4 in Scholars, but that's only if you're not hitting this board. You could also play 6 in Portals and then putting more Vanguard units in. You could add in something like Tom Kench. You could also play something like Rakan and Hecarim, and then playing a little bit around with all of these traits. But mainly, as soon as we're seeing ourselves getting 8 portals, we are going for that. And if we are in a situation where we're having Rise and Taric to 2-star, we will try to get to level 9 and hit the last unit. Are we in the situation where we get to level 9, we can choose between putting in something like Diana, Nami, or both of them if we have an emblem. When it comes to items for Rise, we can play a lot of different things. These are quite good items, but you can also easily go for something like a red buff. You could also go for a Rage Blade, and you could also go for something like Murillo. I usually go for 1 attack speed item, 1 AP item, and 1 item that either gives mana or anti-heal. The tank items will just be pure tank items, but it is a good idea to put in something like a Spark. Next up we have Reroll Hwei, or this comp is also called Frost and Fire since we are playing a lot of Frost and Pyro units. So are we in a situation where we are getting ourselves an emblem, we will play this comp. It is a reroll comp at level 7, meaning we want to have Hwei to 3-star, and if possible we can also go for Swain to 3-star, but most important is Hwei. We also will itemize him first, and then we can put items on Olaf and Swain, and we do also want to itemize Varys, but that will be the last one since we mainly are playing around this earlier in the game. So at level 7 we are trying to play this board, and we are itemizing Hwei first with blue buff, 2 AP items, putting tank items on Swain and bruiser items on Olaf. Depending on which of these we are hitting, we're just gonna play whatever, especially if we have the emblem. But else, try to prioritize Olaf and put in Varys at level 8. As soon as you get in Hwei to 3-star, go to level 8 and play this board. When we get to level 9, we will obviously try to get 7 in the trait, and that basically just means we have to play a weaker unit, and that is more or less it. That is also why the augments that we're looking for is something that gives us the emblem, and also a specific one for Frost. And of course, when you are level 7, you obviously don't have Diana, and we're still gonna have to try to see if we can play 7 in Frost, and that means we're just gonna play a weaker unit, which will be Warwick, instead of Diana. So look for 5 in Frost, and if we have an emblem, we can look for 7 at level 7, which is the main reason why we want to play this, because are we getting an emblem, we can't stay at level 7 for quite long and rolling for Hwei before we go in level 8 and level 9. Next up we have Veigar with Mages, and this comp is also a reroll at level 7 since we want to have Veigar and Vex to 3-star. These guys are the main carries and also the 2 units that we want to itemize first. So what we want to do is to get to level 7 as fast as possible, and then we want to try to get these units to 3-star, and from there we can go up in levels. So what we're trying to build is Blue Buff plus 2 AP items, and on Vex we want to build Crown Guard plus 2 tank items. One of them could be Spark. You could also put Spark on Galio. Do not put it on both, it's just an example. And else you're just gonna build pure tank items on Galio as well. But these two guys is the most important ones. On Nami, we want to have a static shift if we do not have a Spark. We do also want something like Sojin to cast more often, and we could also build Morello to get anti-heal on a lot of units, since her cast is AoE. The reason why Emblem is really good is we want to have 7 in the trait, just a little bit as we want to have 7 in Frost as we saw before. But the issue here is, as you can see, our level 7, it is quite hard to hit Nora. And that means we can have 7 in the trait if we get an Emblem and stay level 7 and roll for these guys. It is a quite big boost, and that is the reason why. So this is an option what we could look for at level 8. An even better one is to take out the weakest units, and then we will put in something like Cillian, since Cillian gives us Chrono, and we are boosting Vex quite a lot with that, since he is a Chrono, and that means he will get some healing, and that also means that he will get some AP, and AP on Vex does make him make an even better shield. And that means more time for Veigar, and yeah, you know the rest. Cillian does also provide CC, so he is a good unit just by himself. And are we seeing ourselves getting something like Seraph, we can also play that. But usually I just look for 7 in mages and trying to play the comp where we're having 7 in that trait and also providing ourselves with some extra damage from Seraph. The last comp we're going to look at is Honeymancer, which is a reroll comp at level 6. Here we are playing around Tristana as our main carry, and secondary carry will be Kog'Maw. And we do also have the 2 tanks, which will be Nuno and Rumble. All of the units are 2 cost, and that means we can do tons of rolling at level 6. Heroic Grabback is great to get ourselves some units to 3-star faster. Beast Friends is a specific one for this comp. Also Featherweights is also good, since it is boosting all the 1 and 2 cost units, which we have quite a lot of. So we're gonna use the Queen's Crown on Tristana, also Raze Blade, and +1 extra item. It could be Infinity Edge, it could also be something like Giant Slayer, just to take out the front line. And then we have Kog'Maw, which wants to cast as often as possible with Spear Sojin, and then we have the 2 crit items. Nuno and Rubble will just hold whatever tank items you can make. Don't go for true redemption, but else everything else is just quite good. And all you want to do is to get to level 6 and reroll for all of these units. Most important is the units that we are putting items on. You could say a little bit more Tristana and Kog'Maw and Nuno, and then Rumble as the last one. But get all of these units to 3-star if possible, and then add in a 2-star Lilia as well. When we have that, we will put in a Jinx at level 7 and Tahm Kench at level 8. Should we get to level 9, we could put in something like Mordekaiser. We could also put in something like Diana, and also something like Seraph. These units are quite good and fits the comp quite well. Oh yeah, and if you play Diana, you could take Tahm Kench out and put in something like Taric to make us getting more in Bastion. That was all for now. Thanks for watching, and see you in my next tier list.